Oh, crap. Sorry.
What happened?
I just knocked over a fan.
Wow,
It's
poor
cool.
fan. Why would you hurt someone who's your fan?
I know.
They're nice to you.
I'm sorry.
I like all of my fans. But yeah, anyway, if I have to guess here, I'm definitely going to say StarTale Ace is going to win this next game. Call that right now.
Well, I'm not
So
disagreeing
it's my
with you,
bet.
so,
I'll call first this time, you can call first next time.
But
You can agree.
I called Ace to win the series, so yeah, I'm not
Okay.
disagreeing with you here. I think that
Okay,
Tall
I'll take
Dream's
Sjow
going to
then.
suit him.
I'll take Sjow. I'll just re-go with Sjow.
Okay.
Alright.
You sure?
I'm sure.
All right, then.
Show's got this. I was messing with you.
All right, so I gotta remember to hit the intro this time because I forgot yesterday because I was distracted by all the sound issues. So it's really quick and it's really awesome. Shoutouts to Gigabyte for sponsoring this, and then we'll be starting game number 2 in just a second.
It's a pretty intro.
All right, so we're back. Are you ready to go now, Mr. Chef?
Oh yeah?
let's-
I'm absolutely ready whenever you are.
Okay, so let's go in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright everyone, welcome back. This is Railcoon with FXO Chef alongside. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and thanks Chef for coming aboard to cast with us today for the Gigabyte StarsWar 6. This is going to be game number 2 between Ace and Sjow here on Tal'Darim Altar. Ace is up 1-0 so far in this series, and this is of course from the round of 16. So once the players do get to the round of 4, which is 2 rounds away, I can do math. I'm talented at that.
That's pretty good.
They will be actually going to the live event in Shanghai, China, for the semifinals and finals, competing over the big bucks.
When will that take place?
I do not know the exact date.
Soon, TM?
Yeah, soon. Trademark. That will be, handled from the Chinese guys from there on. I don't think we'll be doing English casting, but again, I don't know for sure. So stay tuned. We'll get more details for that, for you guys on that in the thread. If you missed it, it's on teamliquid.net in the StarCraft 2 tournaments and event forum. But we are here on Tal'Darim Altar. StarTale Ace is going to be the blue Protoss in the top left-hand corner. Dignitas Sjow is going to be the red Terran in the top right. And really curious to see with a map this size, and like we were discussing before this match, and how Sjow has the reputation for not scouting, if Ace really will punish him for it with his trademark just hiding expansion, just his trademark hidden building shenanigans.
Well, looks like Sjow here hasn't taken his gas yet, so if I had to guess, this is probably going to be a 2 barracks or even just a command center early build, whereas Sjow seems to be going somewhat more standard with this just fast gas, fast gateway into very likely just the cybernetics core and possibly tech. And Ace did get to see this first. He's going to know exactly what's going on. He's going to probably expect that maybe there's a proxy barracks, maybe there's just a command center. We'll have to see. And Sjow is just actually walling off his front a little bit. I don't know if it's a full wall. It is not a full wall again. Sjow is like, I need my SCVs to be able to go and scout, which is very different. Because generally Sjow, like we talked about, is not that much into scouting, but this game, man.
For some reason my keyboard shortcuts aren't working, so that one still works. I don't know why. I'm trying to do the auto follow on the SCV while he's flying around to show how amazing it is that he's actually scouting, and I'm showing that Sjow is scouting. Do you see what I did there?
I did. I saw it originally, and I was like, is he going to bring it up? And then he did.
That was unintentional, but it's fun to bring that up when it is unintentional, just so I look a little bit smarter. Pro casting tip there for you guys. Everything that you do that's a little bit clever was on purpose. And we can see that Sjow is actually going for that fast expansion on the other side of the field. Ace does have the second assimilator, but he's not quite mining from it yet. So still kind of making up his mind on what he's going for.
He actually put a few guys on and then took them off right away. So I have
I didn't even see that.
Oh yeah, it was like just a second. Put them on, took them off. So I kind of have the feeling there's going to be either a fast expansion from Ace or even just a 4 gate or some sort of other early pressure. And if I had to guess, Well, now that the probe is going there, it's going to be a fast expansion, but that
So-
kind of plays into Show's hands, I would say.
So you were going to guess it was a fast expansion, right? Because
Because, yeah, this was clever. That was the correct answer. That was what I was going to guess.
yeah, of course. I mean, I'm just going to guess while I watch the probe going towards the base to make sure he's not making a nexus. Yes, he is going to make a nexus. I'm so smart. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Don't hate on me, guys. Oh.
I'll call what I can see. I'll call what I can take.
Yeah, so we have 2 more gateways on the way from Ace, so he's not going to be going super risky with the expansion into Robo or other quick tech. Quickly taking out that SV as well, so Sjow is actually scouting today, which takes away a little bit of the dramatic tension with this matchup. You know, Ace, familiar for hiding Nexus everywhere he possibly can, throw up a Stargate, robotics. I've just casted him a lot, seeing as we did do a decent amount of stuff with the Startail team. Shoutouts to them. And whenever I saw him, there was a decent amount of that sort of trickery going on by him. And the rest of the Startail house, they seem to have picked it up from him because they realize how powerful it can be if it's not scouted. But Show's actually scouting, and that's impressive, and I love to see it. Hopefully he'll keep doing that, because even though he has great game sense and he usually doesn't get punished for not scouting, it's always a little bit scary to watch him play when he doesn't scout.
Definitely, and Sjow here, now that he's kind of been able to see, perhaps he scanned, I wasn't actually sure what he did, but he's choosing this time now to move out. He's killing a Zealot. He killed a Zealot on the tower. Hopefully we're at the same time seeing
Yes.
Either way, he did at some point in time kill a Zealot, and just moved out a little bit to pressure Ace here, and now he's just kind of moving back. I like that play a lot, just that he went out to take the tower, because even if the Protoss had some sort of 4-gate, hopefully Sjow would have been able to get back, and even if he wasn't able to, he had just enough Marines pumping out that he could get back in that bunker and just take all of his SUVs and just try and repair that bunker for the best he could. So getting a little bit of scouting information, and now he can transfer out of these Marines, but he has just such a nice economic advantage here, I feel.
He actually moved up into his third base area, and I thought he was going to start shooting those rocks, but he was just making sure that Ace didn't have anything hidden up there. And it's interesting because a few moments ago there was actually a probe up there waiting to try and dart into the base, but look at this by Ace, applying some pressure with these stalkers, putting some damage in on this bunker, and then rotating out the hurt stalkers before they even take more than shield damage. Now he's doing a pretty good job microing against these Marines, and going to continue to apply pressure to this bunker, losing a few of the stalkers now. He doesn't have blink, so he does have to be careful. It's a little bit tougher to micro that, but he still killed about 3 or 4 Marines and forced some SCVs off the mineral line to repair that bunker for, I think, 2 stalkers, which is just about even considering he had to pull those SCVs.
Yep, and in the meantime, he was actually just chrono boosting out probes, so because of that, it's kind of like an interesting theory of what you do in pretty much every matchup in this game. So you apply pressure, and while you're applying pressure, you're macroing up as many workers as you possibly can, just because you know your opponent is worried about wherever you're attacking, and even probably making units instead of making economy, so you want to get that little bit of an advantage in there.
Yeah, so back in Show's base, he's actually got the factory almost done. He's got his third command center on the way right at the same time that Ace starts breaking down his destructible rocks. So the 2 players look like they are going to stay relatively even in bases. If you take a look at the worker count, Ace is ahead 53 to 47, but because of those mules, the mineral count isn't really that different. Well, like you were talking about earlier, those mules do count for a decent number of SCVs. And be curious to see if he goes straight into just the medevacs again. Looks like Sjow is going to do that. He never actually got the medevacs out last game. I think he got 2. That was about it.
Yep.
There were a couple, but not as many as he wanted. But looks like once again he's probably going to be skipping that factory tech as he has a reactor on the way. Just go for pure bio with medevacs. Gives you such a great mobility as a Terran player. And that's going to be really helpful, especially on a really big map like this.
Yep, I would just like to point out something interesting. Like last game, Ace went for DTs. Because he went for DTs this game, Sjow threw up a turret now, maybe a little bit earlier than he likes to, and you know, he's probably going to throw up a turret at his third base too. But the difference, or the reason why this is kind of interesting, is because Sjow is actually getting +1 upgrades. And, you know, maybe if he hadn't done that DT rush, he wouldn't have got the +1 upgrades. And in this game, Ace is going for really quick 2-2 upgrades. So it's interesting to see how the metagame changes and maybe what little changes occur because of previous games it's kind of interesting to think of maybe what if he didn't do that? Would Sjow not have got his +1? Would this 2-2 of the Protoss been even more effective? Would it have been, just little things like that just really interest me for sure.
Yeah, that's a good point. When you get into a best of 3 or best of 5, a lot comes into the picture of adjusting according to what you've seen in the previous games. And it seems like we have seen an adjustment from Sjow already. And when Ace did poke forward, I believe he saw that turret. Let me double check. No, he didn't. Okay, so he's not going for Dark Templars again. He's actually going for the charge. And really well upgraded charge zealots are just super amazing. If we look at the top of the map, there are 2 medevacs full of bio flying their way over, but
wow,
Ace, I don't know how Ace saw that, but
I don't either, but he seems to have seen it, so
well, that might just be a classic sense of from Brood War what we refer to as the star sense. You've got no scouting information on what's going on, but you see it coming anyways, so he's prepared. He's got a lot of stalkers here, should be able to clean up a lot of these units as they drop. The medevacs aren't quite able to get everything unloaded before the stalkers take out some of those units. See, he's trying to load up the medevacs and fly away, but he does take down the medevac with all the units in it. Really well defended there by Ace. I think he lost like 2 stalkers and 2 probes there for 2 medevacs worth of units, so really well defended there by Ace.
Yep, not that much damage done by those 2 dropships. And now Sjow is moving out with his army. I would rather have seen him move out with his army earlier to kind of force the Protoss to react to that, and then just run in with those 2 dropships. However, this is kind of different. It allows him to take that tower, and he gets that position very nicely and set up. So we'll just have to see if, with these 2-2 upgrades shortly that we're seeing from the Protoss, he'll be able to get through this Marine Marauder with medevac help. And in the meantime, Sjow is actually going for ghosts. And he's just thrown down a ridiculous amount of barracks with 2 starports, going Viking now. Very interesting switch, very good switch too because of Ace getting this Colossus. However, Ace isn't really, he is chrono boosting it out, but he isn't really getting the core of his army to be the Colossus. In this game, the core of the army is really, I would say, the ground units. So I kind of feel like it would be more important to have almost one of these doing medevacs and one of them doing Viking, as well as just maybe throwing down a second engineering bay just to get these upgrades a little bit quicker. Throwing down an armory now just so you can probably get those +2/+2 for the Terran. And the Terran is ahead economically. He isn't actually using his 2 gas at his 3rd, so I feel like that could hurt him a bit if he is gas starved. But we'll just have to see.
Yeah, and if you look at it, Ace is actually doing really well in his upgrades. He's got the level 2 armor and weapons. He's got the level 3 weapons on the way. He did have to delay the armor a bit because it is rather expensive, and he's working getting Blink and the extended thermal lances. So he's spending a lot of gas on the upgrades, but he's gotten to the point where they're really starting to pay for themselves since he has this many gateway units on the field. Those Forge upgrades are just incredible. Forge upgrades scale so well with gateway armies. And if you look at the Viking count, there are just about 4 for every single Colossus that's out on the field, so he should be able to focus those down. But Ace has a really good micro, especially with the Blink. If he can try and take out some of those Vikings and just let the Colossus take out as many Marines as they can, his strong gateway force might be able to still overwhelm him, especially with the charge lots, that many sentries, and his amazing Blink play. So here comes Sjow.
Oof. Nice little EMP there.
Oh, wow.
Sjow is not going to be able to hold this off. These upgrades, rather very, very helpful on these stalkers. Nice little blink forward. Nice play there by Ace for sure.
Yeah, that was really well defended there by Ace. You can see that the Colossus did go down, but not before they took out a lot of Marines. And then Sjow did trade all of his Vikings. So usually if you can get your Colossus to do a good amount of damage and then take out the Vikings at the same time, it is going to be a good trade for the Protoss player, because as long as there's no Vikings on the field, well, you can keep producing those Colossus. But if Sjow comes in there and takes out all the Colossus and then gets the Vikings out safely, he's going to be forced to change tech. He's not really going to be able to keep making Colossus, because then they just won't be effective in the next battle. And when you force your opponent to have to switch over to Storm or something like that, it gives you just a little bit of an advantage in a possible timing window. So that's very helpful to Ace that he was able to take out all those Vikings.
Would like to say too, interestingly enough, that would have been even though the Sjow lost most of his army in that fight, or all of his army in that fight, it would have been actually very advantageous to him because he killed the Colossus if the Colossus were the important part of that army. But Ace here just needed to keep his sentry count, needed to keep the Stalkers. Because with those upgrades, as long as he keeps building that and gets to this really, really good situation where he has just a huge amount of gateway units, with these beautiful upgrades, there's really not going to be a good composition that Sjow can do. Like these medevacs here, it's a good idea to get them, but it's maybe not going to be quite what he wants to do.
Look at this. Ace is scouting around. He did find this base, but he has to make sure he doesn't get caught here by the army of Sjow. There's quite a lot of units coming in on this small stalker force. He needs to get the hell out of here. He is going to blink away, and he should be able to escape this army. That was a close call. If all those stalkers got trapped into a corner by that huge bio army, it would have been quite a bit of trouble. There we go. He sees the rest of the army coming forward, and he's like, whoa now. Immediately blinks everything away. And that's really good for him, because like I said, if those got trapped, he would have been in a lot of trouble. And he actually did go for a late-game Dark Templar switch, which can be super effective, just because if you look at how much Sjow is going to be spread out now, that he did go for this base down in the bottom right instead of the normal 4th base. Sjow is going to have a hard time keeping Dark Templars from doing damage to his economy. And if Ace just continually spreads them out, sends them to different bases at once, he should be able to hurt Sjow pretty decently.
Yep, definitely. Right here, though, I'm actually very interested to see how these Ghosts and these Vikings and this huge Marine Marauder army will do against the Protoss, because the Terran doesn't quite have his 2-2 upgrades. Well, I guess they're just about done, or they're done, but we'll just have to see if this... Oof, interesting.
Yeah, actually...
Beautiful force fields.
Yeah, great force fields actually keeping a good amount of those units away. The Dark Templars are actually chopping up a lot of units. You can see the 3 of them up there at the top took down a lot of bio forces, and these Colossus didn't even start taking fire until all of the bio units were dead. So Sjow really microing that. He wanted to have the Vikings on top of those Colossus from the start of that battle, but the Vikings were just out of position for some reason. Some sort of misclick happened there. And Ace took that battle very convincingly, especially since Sjow didn't get a scan off to help deal with those Dark Templars. And now Ace is just pushing across the map. You can see that he's got a large force here. He's warping in units from this proxy pylon at 6 o'clock. There's a huge Zealot army about to take on the 4th base of Sjow. And Ace is now actually positioning his army so that once he moves in with those Zealots, Sjow cannot actually reinforce to help that base, so this base is pretty much screwed as he's moving his main army in to attack this planetary fortress at the same time. That's a lot of Stalkers, Colossus, and Zealots that are going to take this out, and even with all the SCVs here, there's just absolutely no way. Sjow reacts, but it's just nowhere near in time. I think he should probably be heading towards Ace's base instead of down to try and save that, because it's gone already. And maybe if he could take out the 4th base over in the corner with a small strike force of Marauders or something, then it would be worth it.
For those of you who didn't know, he just EMP'd a Dark Templar, and that does actually remove cloaking, interestingly enough, for a little bit, but and Sjow does have a new 4th base up, so I mean that's what he needed to have. He needs to just be able to keep scaling with Ace and just hopefully get another 200 army that can deal with Ace's army, but it's really just not looking like he can. Ace is kind of moving around with his army, just going around, and Sjow really just missed a little bit there.
Dark Templar just ran into the army and took out a Ghost without actually taking any fire. So this is a really good job by Ace using these Ghosts to try and take out those key units, try and snipe those Ghosts before the battle even occurs. That's really well done.
Oh yeah. This is not looking good for Sjow. Ace here just being able to control the map. Sjow kind of giving away a lot of his units for cheaper than I would say he should. It's not a good exchange rate. Don't do it. And in the meantime, Ace has gotten this nice little 5 amount of Colossus. He has such beautiful, beautiful upgrades. For instance, now if the Terran had 3-3, which he will soon, it'd be a lot closer. But moving in before that 3-3, why Sjow? Stay and wait until you get that upgrade. Try and get a little bit closer to max. He needs to, because he can't let this other force base dive. And now the engagement here.
Some great EMPs there, actually, taking out a lot of the health on those sentries, but these charge lots are just doing so much damage. There's not enough Marines here to take those out, and the Marines go down so quickly to the Colossus at the same time. Ace is just doing a wonderful job controlling this. He's actually getting the shield upgrades too, which you don't see from a lot of players, because getting the level 3 shield upgrades is actually more expensive than teching to a mothership. But seeing as he has the maxed weapons and armor, and he's getting a fleet beacon anyways. I guess he figures since he has the double forge, why not start on those shield upgrades?
Why not?
And that'll actually help any air units he brings out. It gives his buildings a little bit of extra survivability. And just found it interesting that he's going for the shield upgrades there at the end of the game.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool game.
So Ace does take the series 2-0, and he will advance into the round of the 8. He is 1 away from making it to the live finals in Shanghai, China, which is going to be a really big deal. And Ace is just a really strong Protoss. We've seen this from him again and again, where he steps onto the field and just takes out the best players that we put up against him. So really excited to see him in the round of 8. We're going to be taking a quick 2 to 3 minute break before we start the next series.
Ace showed Sjow his place.
I just realized I had the wrong overlay on that game. When did that happen?
I don't know. I was,
wow.
casting with you.
Failcoon.
For those of you who don't know, IPL actually stands for iCCup something TV. It's very good. That's what IPL stands for. So
Yeah.
you guys know.
We're gonna go with that.
For those of you who are like, now Hydra, and you're breathing really heavily, and you're getting to that point now.
No,
Hydra.
not
Wait
yet.
a little longer.
Not yet.
It's just like fine food. You gotta wait.
It's
saw a lot of that in chat.
we're building tension here. Idra's not quite here yet. I changed this. Why is this not pre-game image up here? And then we will be taking a quick break with commercials, and we'll be back with the next matchup, which should now be on the screen. There we go. Oh, that's not the right one.
It's the wrong one, buddy. It's the wrong one.
Okay, there we go. It's going to be Xiao against San. Xiao is one of our Chinese qualifiers. He's amazingly good. The match that we saw against Marine King Prime from him was impressive. He 2-0'd Marine King Prime and made it look easy, and he's going to be going up against San. So I'm really looking forward to this match because the play we saw from him was just incredible. But we're going to be taking a quick commercial break. We'll be back in just a few... What?
Before you do that, would you tell them the schedule, like our complete schedule, real quick, just because a lot of them are curious and they just want to know.
That's cool. So next up, we are going to have Xiao against San. After that, we are going to be going with Demaga versus Todd. That was the match that was supposed to be yesterday, but got delayed. So now we're going to be bringing it to you after Xiao against San, and then after that, we'll be closing out with Idra versus White Raw, and that'll be all of our round of 16 matches. So. We've got 3 more excellent matches for you guys. We're going to be running a quick commercial break, so stay tuned. We'll be right back. Ace, man, he's good.
Oh yeah, man, he made Sjow look pretty bad, I'll be honest. But a lot of that I feel was just, the second game was just his build order was better, and Sjow just got cocky. The first game... I don't know what happened to Sjow. Just didn't play safe enough.
I mean,
game
you saw those close positions on Metal, and he just tried to be super aggressive. Which, it's fair on those positions. Just try and go kill them. It can work out relatively well, but Ace just shut him down with force fields and then was like, hi, counterattacks?
Yep. It's pretty sick. Pretty sick.
Yeah, so I'm just getting everything set up on the scoreboards and that sort of thing.
Sure. No rush, Alan. You have to do all the work. Alan is basically like the production studio, the video studio, the casting studio, and the organizing studio. So he has to do all of these things, contact people, and
Pat does the organization for this.
Okay, so with Pat, Pat is awesome. He's iCCup Diamond. He is another hero. I was gonna give you all the credit. He is
Oh, but I can't do that. Pat worked really, really hard on getting this set up. So shout outs to him.
Pretty nice.
At iCCup Diamond on Twitter. You can follow Chef at FXO Chef, and I'm at iCCup Railcoon. So check us out.
But don't follow me around. It's kind of creepy.
I think you already have a couple. Is it a couple thousand people following you around?
Probably.
I think you're at 2,000
in real life,
something.
Okay. As long as they don't do it in real life, I'll be okay with it.
Somebody's telling me that they sent a tweet that I need to retweet, but Twitter still won't load, so sorry.
Makes it kind of difficult, eh?
Yeah,
please retweet this thing that we can't see. And
yeah,
you can't
rather
tweet.
difficult. So this next match is going to be Sjow against San. For those of you not familiar with Sjow, he is a really sick Chinese player. He apparently, to my sources, Elaine's son, shoutouts, she casted me with me twice so far. She says that he's been recognized as the best Chinese player, period, for quite a long time now. He is a Protoss player, and he took out Marine King Prime the previous round very, very convincingly. If you did miss those matches, it's definitely worth checking out. We saw some really sick play from Sjow in those games, and now he's going to be taking on San.
So I'm noticing in our picture it says San defeated Boxer twice. It's like Nesty Boxer, White Raw, and Boxer again.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a slip up. We have a wonderful image team that's been helping us do the graphics for this StarsWar, but they're all volunteers, so they've been working really hard for us, and shoutouts to them for doing wonderful things and getting us these pretty graphics. But we actually don't have graphics for Damaga versus Todd because we weren't even sure if we would have these replays.
Guys in chat, go paint artists something. Damaga against Todd.
We got the replays for Damaga versus Todd an hour before this started, and that's kind of short notice for our image team, just a little bit. So sadly we don't have a sexy overlay for them like we do for Sjow against San, but San, of course, San is amusing because of the fact that Tasteless and Artosis gave him so much crap for being a jobber the first couple seasons in the GSL, and they did really well, and they're like, oh my god, San's really good! So hopefully we can see San play well and keep showing us how good he is, instead of everybody remembering what Tasteless and Artosis were ragging on him for previously.
Nice. And so I told chat, and apparently chat is on it. They'll get us an image. You gotta make sure you check out the images.
Oh.
Sure. And also Motbob is on the chat. If you know who Motbob
Oh, Motbob's here?
Definitely make him a mod, because
okay,
he's
yeah.
one of the great writers of TL.
He definitely gets mod, because he's a cool person. If you guys aren't familiar, when MLG released their new format for this new season, and everybody's like, what the hell? How does this work? Bob's the guy that made the post that made it understandable on how the MLG format is.
Yeah. Man, at MLG, even though there were all these MLG admins around, they're like, we don't really know the schedule. Bob knows it better than us. He made the artwork. Like, you work for MLG? Like, Bob's better than us, you know? So, like, that's how it is.
It was funny because Sundance actually, I think it was Sundance, tweeted the thread, and it was like, shoutouts to Bob for making our format understandable. It was hilarious. So he's a cool dude, making a heart with my hands, at you with my hands as well, Bob. But we got Sjow against San. Give me a second to sip on my water here, and we'll be getting ready to start here between this match in just a moment.
Very cool.
Bob says he's never been a mod before on Justin TV.
It's pretty cool. You should unmod him and then remod him, just so like he has that sort of ascension feeling again. Like, I'm not a mod. Oh, I'm a mod again. You know, give him that like double feeling good thing. It's great.
I don't know. I think if I did that, he'd have the little bit of, oh, they took away my mod, and then when we mod him again, it wouldn't be as cool as the first time. So I think overall he'd be a little bit worse off than when we started. So I'll just leave him.
Alright, sounds good.
Okay, so I got to make sure I go to the right scene here. There we go. I've got it set up so the scenes are on hotkeys, and I actually just hit the one for IPL. I don't know how I did that.
You have iCCupTV up now.
Yeah. We're iCCupTV. That's not until later this week that I'm doing IPL. Just for the record. And so you have this first game loaded up on Metalopolis?
I'm all set, my friend. I'm all set.
I should fix Sjow. He's Protoss, not Terran. There we go.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. I thought he was Terran. From your little icon picture, like, oh, I get to see a PVT.
No, it is a Protoss first Protoss, but it'll be interesting.
How dare you troll me?
Because you know, the Chinese, they've mostly been off in their own corner, haven't had as much exposure to the Korean scene and other players. So it'd be interesting to see how the whole Korean versus Chinese thing goes on in Protoss versus Protoss, because a lot of the Koreans have moved over to blink play and those sorts of things in Protoss versus Protoss. And Sjow T is considered one of the best in China, so be curious to see which way he goes for that.
Yeah. Actually, I've been playing a bit of PvP myself. With Blink Stalkers, you really just need to get in a good position that you can kill the Colossus without losing all of your Stalkers. If you can do that, your remaining army should be able to deal with their remaining army, just because that's how it works. You have a better ground force army because their Colossus are gone, and you have Blink Stalkers, which lets you micro your Stalkers better than their Stalkers. But it's all about that fight, and if the other Terran can defend perfectly, and that's all it's about. It's about harassment, and if they can defend perfectly, a lot of the times, the Protoss that doesn't do Blink Micro will be able to win if they defend it perfectly, but it's hard to do.
Yeah.
Like, none of that's easy stuff. You know, there are a lot of little tricks and tips you can learn in PvP. Like, well, how many Stalkers does it take to two-hit a Colossus? You gotta figure that out. You know, you gotta learn when you can blink in, you gotta learn the timings, and then blink out, and so forth.
But that's the thing I've noticed the most about the whole Blink Micro and Protoss for Protoss is I've seen people on stream chats who are like, oh, that's not hard. And then, like, the thing is, it's not about executing the Blink Micro. It's about executing the Blink Micro without your macro failing, and then blinking at the right times. That's the most difficult part that people don't really realize, is that there's a lot of situations where if you just go in, you're going to get demolished. So you have to be constantly analyzing the situation, trying to figure out when you have that perfect opportunity to move in with your Blink Stalkers and then try and get out as safely as you possibly can. It's very, very high skill cap, and that's why we've been seeing it become more popular with the Koreans in this matchup, because if you execute it properly, it's very, very rewarding.